How's it going, everyone? Today I'm going to do a video on the 88 to 95 Toyota pickup truck because there was not a lot of videos pertaining to the brake setup. So I'm going to do a quick video on how to do the front rotors on a 88 to 95 Toyota pickup. All right, guys, so we got an 92 Toyota pickup truck. I'm changing the brakes on it for my buddy. And I was looking online because I got to this part and I was like, wow, the hub and the rotor are the exact same piece. And I got online, I got to looking, and there's not a whole lot of information on how to do it. So I got the driver's side done. I've figured my way through that one. So I figured I'd make a video on the passenger side. For the video's sake, it's 217 millimeters, hold the caliper on and just pop it off and bungee cord it up so it doesn't stress out the brake line that's going the other way for whatever stupid reason. Okay guys, so here's all the tools you're gonna need. You're gonna need a 17 millimeter, that will be to get the caliper off. You're gonna need a 14 millimeter, you need a T20 Torx bit, a 12 millimeter on an extension. Gonna need a big pair of channel locks or a 54 millimeter socket. That's to get the actual axle nut off, but it shouldn't be tight. Like it shouldn't be tight, so channel locks usually get it. You need a hammer to separate the hub from the rotor. You're gonna need some grease to repack your bearings, some brake clean to clean everything up, some anti-seize. If you live in the Rust Belt, it's a good idea to put it between the rotor and the hub so they don't rust weld themselves back together. For the next time you do this, you're gonna need some gasket sealer. That is for the gasket on the back of here. I'm not sure what this is called, the hub cone, I believe is what it is, to the hub. You're gonna need gasket sealer for that, and just some sandpaper, a wire brush, and Scotch-Brite. It's really not a whole lot, so let's get started. All right, so first things first is take your T20, and we are going to loosen. These are not very tight. We're gonna loosen all of these little Torx bits. And I'm gonna come back through with the electric ratchet and buzz them all off there. All right, got all the little Torx bolts out of there, so we're just gonna head and peel that off there. And we're gonna set this to the side. I'm gonna put the bolts that came out of it back in it. All right, now you're gonna see this little bolt in here on this little cone washer. I just take the 14 that came off the impact. It's only gonna be hand tight. None of this stuff is gonna be really tight in here. Unthread that, let it fall to the floor so you can lose it. We'll take out this little cone washer and we will set this over here as well. Okay, next we're gonna get the 12 millimeter and we're gonna take out all these nuts that hold this cone on here. If you find yourself struggling with this because when you go to loosen it, you're gonna turn the hub, you can just stick a screwdriver in here, like down like this, or actually you could do it on this side, put it on the right side, so you can hold it that way and then you can go ahead and break it free. But I'm gonna use my impact. All right, now just make sure you don't lose all these washers, but this should it's on there very tight. Just kind of pull back, walk it off, lose all your washers in the process. And we'll just set her over to the side. This is what you're gonna need the gasket sealer for, is to reseal this against the hub face. Now I'm gonna pick up all my washers. All right, next is the axle nut. You're either gonna want I'm sorry, that's probably bad lighting. There we go. You're probably going to want a 54 millimeter thin wall socket, a 2 1/8 inch socket, or your favorite pair of big channel locks. Now, like I said, this is not gonna be very tight at all. Like this is, if it was too tight, then the hub wouldn't spin. So just gonna grab it with your channel locks, make sure you get a good bite on it, and give her a squeeze and a twist. You saw that, but it is coming loose. There we go. And then it should just come off by hand after that. It is gonna be a little messy, so give her a quick spray. Got my catch can down here, not catching anything. And we're just gonna twist it off the rest of the way by hand. All right, next you'll see in here is it's like a spring spacer washer type of thing. It's not in there very tight or anything or any pressure. It's just kind of in there against this keyway in here. So what you can do is grab a flathead screwdriver. You can kind of pick behind it here. Try not to break it if you don't have a new one. I don't plan on getting new ones, so I'm trying to reuse all this old stuff. And we'll just slowly walk it off and out of that keyway. There we go. There we have it. That comes off, and then I'm putting all this in order back in that little cone thing. So that was that on the outside, then that washer, and then on the inside here, you're gonna have another nut like we had before. So grab your favorite channel locks again. Get on in there and give her a turn. All right, so we got her broke free. It's not gonna be very tight at all. I actually could have did it by hand. So now we are going to go ahead and unthread this little nut the rest of the way out. It feels like it has some burrs on it, so I'm probably gonna take a file and clean it up. It feels like someone did this before and used, I don't know what could have been the wrong tool for this, but they did it because it's got some really sharp burrs on it. There we go. Now that's free. Set that over here in the cone in the pile. And now I believe we are ready to pull the whole thing off. So now it's ready to come off. Oh, yep, there you see it sliding. This is your wheel bearing in here. This is the back side of it. And I'm gonna need two hands for this part. But I'm gonna move this brake caliper out of the way and then get it off the rotor because the whole thing's gonna come off. Take my light off the rotor so it doesn't hit the floor and bust, and we're just gonna pull it right off. All right, now we're gonna pull the rotor off. I like to do it in a quick motion, that way the bearing and everything comes with it. And I try to take it off and scoop it up a little bit, that way the bearing stays in it and doesn't hit the ground, but we'll see how that works. There we go. Hub is off. Here's that bearing I was talking about. Here's your bearing. We're gonna set it in here because we're gonna clean her up. And yeah, so now we are going to flip this over. And I'm gonna get my impact because these are gonna be a little bit tight. These are 14 millimeters, there's 6 of them. And we are going to unbolt the rotor from the hub itself. All right, so now we have all the bolts out of the back of the rotor, connecting it to the hub. So now you're gonna grab your favorite hammer, and I just like to stand it up. I put it between my 2 little feet, and I just beat on the rotor, or I beat on the hub right here on this lip. Just hit it, spin it, and keep doing that, and she'll come off. All right, and here we have it. The hub is now off of the rotor. And what I'm gonna do is the rotor itself actually sits on this lip right here. So what I do is I take some sandpaper, I clean this up all real nice, and then I get my anti-seize. I'm gonna put it right along here and on the back side of these bolt holes where that would be pushed up against the rotor as well, just to give it a little bit better chance of not rusting into smithereens. All right guys, so I hit it with a little bit of sandpaper. So now I'm going to lube up right here on this inner face. I'm gonna lube that up with some anti-seize and on these little faces where the bolt holes go, and I'm gonna slide the rotor on. All right, here's what we're looking like all lubed up. So now we're gonna go ahead and take our rotor and we're going to slide it back on. Should just drop right down. Don't worry about lining up the bolt holes because it usually, yeah, see, you can spin it by hand on the actual hub. There we go. Now we're gonna drop our bolts back in it. All right, got my bolts all started in here, and I'm gonna run it in with the impact. I just put on, I have setting 1, so it's like 100 foot-pounds or whatever, but the actual torque spec for these is 47 foot-pounds. I like to do these like a wheel, so I'll do a crisscross. I'll go here, here, there, 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 there. Just make it start bending, and I go all the way back around it one more time just to be sure. All right, now that the rotor and the hub are back together and joined as one again, I'm gonna go ahead, I'm going to scrape all this old gasket maker off here, and then I'm going to clean up this wheel bearing as well. So yeah, I'm just gonna spray a generous amount of brake clean and everything, clean that up, clean the wheel bearing up, gasket maker off here, and then we'll get ready to put it all back together. All right, so I got the spindle all lubed up with grease. I got the bearing lightly repacked with grease, and then I got that cleaned up, all the RTV and stuff off it. So now we're gonna go ahead and slide the hub assembly back onto the spindle, and then we're going to push the bearing in. I also forgot to mention, because it was stuck to the back of the bearing, just this little washer spacer. All it does is just go in between the actual nut and the back of the race on the bearing. That's all. But yeah, so we're going to go ahead and slide this back on. Okay, I'm going to try and not get in the way of the camera, so bear with me here. All right, so let's go ahead, pick our rotor up. We're gonna go ahead and slide this back reel back on. Okay, feels like it's all the way in. And we're gonna go and take our bearing. Take our bearing. Tapered side goes in. Go ahead and give that some help in. Push them both in there, they seem pretty good. Now we're gonna go ahead and grab that washer I forgot about with the little titty on the end of it, and that's gonna slide in that keyway. It probably doesn't matter, but one end has a circle imprint, the other side has like where like the nut was riding against it, so I'm just doing that to go back on the same way since it's worn in together. And there we go. We got our washer in there. We're gonna go ahead and, actually I'm gonna go ahead and, I forgot to file these burrs down. There's a big burr right here. There's another one right here. And I believe the first one also had a giant burr on it right here. So I'm gonna go and file those down real quick, and then we'll go ahead and put the rest of it back on. Here's a better look at the nuts. Some big gouges down here in the bottom, a big burr up here on this side. Backside's okay, but the other one is also equally as bad. Big gouge right there and there. Gouge right there. So we're gonna go ahead and clamp it in the vise. I'm gonna file this stuff down real quick. Oop, a little shaky there. So I went ahead and I filed down all the rough spots, and let's go ahead and put it back on. All right, now we got our freshly filed axle nuts. We're gonna take the first one. I'm going to spray it. Spray the threads out real quick with some brake cleaner. Go ahead, we're gonna put this on. should just want to spin on there really nice and easy. So if you have any resistance or any troubles, then take it back off, see what's wrong, because it should just want to spin right on there. There we go. These don't go super tight, so I'm just going to barely tighten it. What I can tighten it. Okay, that's probably good enough. We'll give it a little half of another one. Kind of got to finagle the hub here to get out of the way. The channel locks, if you're using channel locks. If you got the socket like a real pro, then you'll be okay. Okay, so that one's on there tight. Now we're gonna go ahead and grab our little crush washer spring thing. We're gonna slip this on here. It also has a little titty right there on the top. That's what goes in the keyway. So we're gonna go ahead and slide that in. Make sure it's pushed all the way against the other nut. We're gonna take our last nut. Give it a little bit of some of that. Tighten up a little bit. Spindle's still spinning good, so we're not too tight. Yeah, I like to periodically just spin it just to make sure I'm not too tight, because you'll know if it's too tight because it'll just be not wanting to participate. Still feeling pretty good. I'm gonna go a little bit more if I can. Oh shoot. Pull the caliper off. Still spins nice. Okay. Now we are going to go ahead and get our gasket maker, and I'm gonna put it on my finger. I'm just gonna do a nice thin layer around the outside of this. Oh, let me get comfy here. I used Loctite Mr. GS2 gasket sealer because it stays pliable, and it's also oil and grease and fuel resistant and everything. So what I'm going to do is just a little bit on my finger, and then we're going to go ahead and just nicely space it out, and just get a nice thin layer going around the outside of this cone hub. Look for any spots that might be a little thin. In here, try not to get a bunch of it inside as well, because you want it to not get all up in the bearing and whatnot. I'm gonna do a touch more. It's looking a little thin in some spots. Oop, pardon me. Take a little bit more of this, touch up some of the spots. A nice once over. There we have it. This doesn't matter how it goes on here, just goes on. And line our, oh, it does matter, I'm sorry. So there are these little spots right here, little tangs, and they got little indents in them. And that is for these two nipples right here. So we're going to position this to go over those nipples. Am I stupid? That spot right there, goes right there. I must have been stupid. All right, now I'm gonna grab our nuts and our washers. Get all up in your business. Oh, very professional of me to not have it ready. And we're going to go ahead and put our washers on. Grab our Impacto Exacto. I'm going to put her on bolt tightening mode, forward facing. Snug that one up, and I'm going to do same thing, crisscross pattern. Make sure it seats on there evenly. Go back around. I don't think you have to tighten the dog shit out of these. It's just on a plastic hub. Okay. Very professional again. We're going to grab our hub locker and our little spacer and our bolt. See how this is spinning right now? Spinning good. Okay. We're gonna get these in here. Now this is just very gently tightened up in there, because if you tighten it too much, you'll notice the axle's not going to turn. So they're just running in there by hand. Okay, we got a little bit of resistance. Now, I'm just going to do the slightest amount of tightening it, and it's hard to turn now, so too stiff. Just doing that for the video purpose. So we're gonna back it off. Now it's hand loose again. This is also loose. Run it in, just a hair. Still spins good. Hair more. That feels about like what it was when I started. Now we're going to take our hub locking assembly, or whatever you want to call this thing. All you're really going to want to do is line this tab up right here with one of the 30 something splines in there, because that's all this does. Whenever you turn this, it just spins that little tang right there and just locks the axle in. So just line your bolt holes up, and it should want to find its own little spot there. Then we'll take our T20 Torx bit and run these all in by hand. Take our torque wrench, or not our torque wrench, just our 3/8 ratchet here. Just give her a snuggy poo, holding it all the way up on the head so I do not have any risk of over tightening this. Okay, that all feels nice and snug. This still turns good. Now let's make sure that it works, and we'll go ahead and lock our hub in, and front drive shaft is engaged. Go ahead and disengage it, and disengage from the front drive shaft. Okay, so now we're going to put the caliper back on. You didn't see me take it off, but I'm going to show you how to put it back on. All right, so all we're going to do is undo our bungee cord here. Sorry, one-handed Joe. Undo our bungee cord. We're gonna go ahead and slip. Wow, Joe, you're doing a tremendous job. We'll slip our caliper on there, and we have those two 17mm bolts that go through the backside. Give me 1 second. Sit you guys back up over her. There he is. Spread these babies out with my little phalanges. There we go. Go home, honey. Crawl one back here. I don't know who at Toyota thought, let's go this way with the brake lines and then back this way to the caliper, but it's kind of an awful choice. I'm not having a good time with it because you have to fight the crap out of it to get to go back on. It's not like a good fun fight either, like it's a freaking fight. All right, BRB. All right, folks, after some not so sweet talking to her, we got both bolts to go ahead and start in there. So I'm gonna go ahead and run these in by hand and then fucking use the ratchet as a pogo stick to tighten them up because I do not want these to fall off. All right, folks, there we have it. Rotor's on, axles in, spins nice. She could use another splash of brake clean. But yeah, so time to put the tire on, let the jack down, and go test her out. All right, guys, truck's back on the ground. I need to pick all my tools and my garbage up. But this was just a quick little video on how to change the rotors on an 88 to 94 Tacoma pickup truck, because there's like one video out there and it's from God knows how long ago. The video quality was abysmal. So I just figured I'd make my own, show you guys how to do it. It's really not that bad. It's a little daunting at first because you gotta, like, you know, take all the axle nuts off and everything. You need a big socket, but really just need a 12, a 17, a 14 crescent or channel locks, and pretty much good to go. So thanks for watching. Like, subscribe if you want to see more. I just kind of do any random vehicle that I work on. Like I got an LS swapped C2500 here, work on my Corolla, this Tacoma. So, you know, never know what you're gonna find. But thanks for watching. I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye.